Every ancient civilization on Earth has stories of giants. The Bible, Greek mythology, Native American legends, they all describe beings of enormous size. What if these weren't just stories? Genesis chapter 6 speaks of the Nephilim, giants born from the union of the sons of God and the daughters of men. These weren't metaphors. The Bible describes beings of tremendous size and strength who dominated the ancient world. David and Goliath wasn't a fairy tale, it was a historical account of humanity's struggle against these titans. Between 1850 and 1950, hundreds of American newspapers reported discoveries of giant skeletons. The New York Times, the Washington Post, local papers across the country, skeletons measuring 7, 8, sometimes 12 feet tall. These weren't tabloids, these were respected newspapers reporting what farmers and construction workers were finding in the ground. Where did all these giant skeletons go? Witnesses report that the Smithsonian Institution collected thousands of these remains. Yet today they deny any such collection exists. In 2014, a Supreme Court ruling allegedly forced the Smithsonian to admit they had destroyed giant remains to protect the mainstream historical narrative. The evidence was literally buried. The Paiute tribe speaks of the Si-Te-Cah, red-haired giants who were cannibals. The Navajo tell of the Si-Te-Cah, giant warriors they fought for generations. The Choctaw describe a race of giants called Nahulo. These aren't isolated myths. Every tribe across North America has nearly identical stories of battling giant beings. In 1911, miners in Lovelock Cave, Nevada, discovered thousands of artifacts and giant remains with red hair. The Paiute legends were proving true. Giant sandals, massive handprints, skulls with unusual features. The remains were sent to museums where many mysteriously disappeared. But photographs and eyewitness accounts survive to this day. Across the American Midwest, thousands of ancient mounds contain a dark secret. When excavated in the 1800s, many revealed giant skeletons, some in sitting positions, some with copper armor, some with unusual skull shapes. The mound builder civilization wasn't built by ancestors of Native Americans, according to some researchers. It was built by giants. Greek mythology describes the Titans, beings of enormous power who ruled before the Olympian gods. The Greeks didn't invent these stories from nothing. They were recording their ancestors' memories of actual giant beings. The bones of heroes displayed in Greek temples weren't mythological. They were the remains of a race that once existed. In South Africa, a granite footprint measuring over 4 feet long has been dated to 200 million years ago. In Texas, the Paluxy River reveals giant humanoid footprints alongside dinosaur tracks. In Bolivia, massive footprints are carved into mountain rocks. These aren't erosion patterns. They're evidence of beings far larger than modern humans. The Book of Enoch, removed from most modern Bibles, describes in detail how the Watchers, fallen angels, took human wives and produced giant offspring. These Nephilim grew to 450 feet tall and began consuming everything, including humans. This text was considered sacred scripture for centuries before being deliberately suppressed. Museums around the world contain axes, hammers, and swords that no normal human could wield. A copper axe head weighing over 50 pounds. Swords 8 feet long. Stone hammers requiring superhuman strength. These artifacts don't match our understanding of history, unless you accept that giants once used them. In 2002, US Special Forces in Afghanistan allegedly encountered and killed a giant, a red-haired being over 12 feet tall that attacked their unit. Multiple soldiers have come forward with this account. The body was reportedly airlifted out and classified. The military denies everything, but the witnesses have never changed their story. Residents of the Solomon Islands report ongoing encounters with giants living in the island's interior. These beings, standing over 10 feet tall, are described as having reddish skin and incredible strength. Entire villages have stories spanning generations. These aren't ancient legends. These are contemporary accounts from living witnesses. How did ancient peoples move stones weighing hundreds of tons? Baalbek in Lebanon features stones weighing over 1,000 tons, far beyond modern crane capacity. Sacsayhuaman in Peru has perfectly fitted blocks weighing 200 tons. The answer mainstream archaeology refuses to consider. These structures were built by beings with strength we can't comprehend. Ireland's landscape is dotted with structures attributed to giants. the Giant's Causeway, Giant's Graves, Giant's Rings. Finn McCool and other giant legends permeate Irish culture. In the 1700s, the skeleton of Charles Byrne, the Irish giant at 7'7", was preserved despite his wishes. How many more giant remains were taken without consent? In the early 1900s, excavations on Catalina Island, California, uncovered over 3,000 skeletons, many of them giants reaching 7 to 9 feet in height. Ralph Glidden documented these finds extensively with photographs. The remains were eventually taken by institutions and have since vanished from public record. Paracas, Peru is home to skulls 25% larger than normal human skulls, with completely different bone structure. These weren't created by binding, the skull volume is genuinely larger. DNA testing has returned results unlike any known human population. Were these the remains of a giant hybrid race? Roman Emperor Maximinus Thrax, who ruled in the 3rd century, was recorded as being over 8 feet tall with inhuman strength. He could pull loaded carts that oxen couldn't move. Roman historians documented this as fact, not legend. If one giant could become emperor, how many others walked among ancient peoples? In 1912, the New York Times reported the discovery of 18 giant skeletons in Wisconsin, found by the Phillips brothers. The skulls had double rows of teeth. Some skeletons measured over 9 feet. A team from Beloit College documented the find before the remains were taken away and lost to history. From the caves of Texas to the cliffs of Egypt, giant handprints appear in rock art around the world. These prints are often 2 to 3 times the size of normal human hands. Ancient artists documented what they saw: beings of enormous size that shared their world. DNA analysis has revealed the Denisovans, an ancient human relative. Some researchers believe Denisovans were significantly larger than modern humans. Fragments of their DNA live on in modern populations, particularly in populations with legends of giant ancestors. Were the Denisovans the giants of legend? If giants existed, why hide the evidence? Because it destroys the accepted timeline of human evolution. Because it validates religious texts that academia dismisses. Because it suggests humanity isn't the pinnacle of Earth's history. The implications are too enormous for institutions to accept, so they bury the truth, literally and figuratively. Even today, people report encounters with giant beings, in remote forests, in deep caves, in isolated mountain regions. These accounts come from hunters, hikers, and indigenous peoples who have no reason to lie. Either thousands of people across centuries are all making up the same story, or something is out there. They can confiscate skeletons. They can dismiss newspaper accounts, they can ridicule witnesses, but they cannot erase the giant structures, the oversized artifacts, the ancient texts, the universal legends. The evidence for giants is carved in stone, written in scripture, and embedded in the memory of every culture on Earth. Every year, new discoveries emerge. Every year, more researchers question the official narrative. The truth about giants, about our real history, is too big to stay buried forever. The question isn't whether giants existed. The question is, what else have they hidden from us about who we really are?